Hey, how y'all doing? This is 919 Truth Sports coming to you with another segment. This time I want to cover. Everybody knows that Dylan transferred, and I think he just signed to Kansas State, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm hoping the best for him. I'm hoping they have a plan for him, and there's a reason why they wanted him to come to their school and play for them. Obviously, he's talented. And any offense could use him as long as they use him the right way because he's obviously not a big bruising back. He's a speed back. So we'll see how that goes. So congratulations to him. But I want to get into some of the reasons why I left. I mean, why he left. And for me, I think it started last season. And you're probably asking, well, what do I mean after last season? Well, after the game against TCU, of course, he had an excellent game. He had a great game, and I was wondering myself just watching because I always come from the player's perspective. So when you listen to me, it is not hate. I do not hate Coach Deion Sanders. I actually want him to win and do well. I want the black coaches to do well, especially at white schools, so that more of them can get opportunities. So don't take what I say as hate because that's not what it is. Okay, so I'm looking at the game after the game against TCU, um, and which was impressive because he came in as a true freshman. I mean, he came in right out of high school and had the game that he had against TCU. The sad part is that it turned out to be his best game of the year, and that followed him. Because I know after that game he was expecting more of everything, more passes, more rushes, etc. So in his mind, after that performance, I'm sure he's thinking he is the best running back in the room. But but he saw that the offense eventually, win or lose, was going to go through the quarterback. Now, should he have known that going in because Shador is a legit quarterback? Yes, of course he should have. But I think he thought, which I could be wrong, I think he thought as a player that it shifted way too much to just the quarterback position because in his mind, he's beat out all upperclassmen that are older than him. He ended up starting. He had a great game. He actually ended up leading them in rushing for the whole year last year. So I think he took into account that win or lose, everything was going to be going through Shador and the quarterback and nothing else. I think he saw how the older guys that were older than him, how they got treated. Um, I'm sure that Smoke, and a lot of people don't understand this. And, a lot of people didn't play because to you all, Smoke is just a guy who's gone. But I think about from the player's perspective, from the parents' perspective, because they're human beings. So don't think just because he started, he's not seeing how everybody else is being treated. So he's looking at Smoke. Smoke came in, from Kentucky, with a big name coach. Sanders loved him coming in, called him a dog, called him a pro, and everything. Well, he got no rushing attempts all season. He saw Wilkerson, who came in with Coach Prime, of course, from Jackson State. He was 1,000 yard back, basically limited rushes. Then he saw another 1,000 yard back, which was McCaskill Alton. He ended up redshirting. So you have to think as a player, he's watching this and seeing what's happening in that running back room. And you may think that he's happy, he had a great game, which he is, but you play. I mean, you practice more than you play games. So he saw a lot going on through the weeks. Obviously, something that he saw or heard he did not like. And you have to remember this. The reason it is a big deal that he left because he's known Coach Prime since he was a kid. Him and his parents have known Coach Prime since he was a kid. So he must have trusted Coach Prime to a certain level, but there's also some things he must have known that we don't know about Coach Prime, I'm assuming. He got flipped from the great Notre Dame, which that when that happened, I was like, why would you leave Notre Dame to come to an upstart program like Colorado? And maybe it was because Dylan is small. We all know that. The year he went in last year, there was another great back. I can't forget his name, but Notre Dame had another great back, a big, huge guy, fast and strong. So I'm thinking that Notre Dame probably had a plan for him, like they normally do when you're small but you're talented on that level. They're going to take a couple of years to put some muscle and some fat on you. Um, it's just what they do. They put you on a eating program. So I'm assuming Coach Prime must have flipped him by telling him he'll play right away and he wouldn't have to wait because Notre Dame have a lot of big backs. So obviously they wanted him for a reason, but I don't think it was to play him as a freshman. So once he gets over to Colorado, he obviously becomes a starter. He becomes the starter from a talented running back room. And we talked about the game that he had against TCU on national television, um, which was great for him. So the season goes on. He ends up leading the team in rushes. I think 328 yards, which is terrible because I'm sure he got that in 1 to 2 games in high school. So 328 yards is terrible, but he did lead as a freshman that whole room or the team in rushes that year. But just to show his dedication to Coach Prime and to the Colorado Buffs team, he gets bigger, obviously, but he also does something that I respect. He joined the track team. Okay, so he was saying that he wanted to get faster, but it also shows dedication. It also tells the coaches that I'm completely locked in and I'm coming back to be the number one back. So, and this is a kid. Now we can't forget that this is a kid we're talking about. We're not talking about grown adults. Um, so I'm sure he's been well. Obviously, he was being told at least through the media, from listening to all after their practices and seeing all of the coaches. Um, Sherman, I think his name is, the offensive coordinator, saying that Dylan is a big part of the offense, et cetera, et cetera. But what we're not thinking about is they also announced that the guy from Ohio State is coming in, and for coming from Ohio State, you automatically think he's going to be a very, very good back. So Dylan is looking at that as I'm showing all of my dedication. I had a good season, not a great season, but I had a good season as far as what he could do with the offensive line and the play calling. He thinks in his mind he's done all he could do to be the number one back without question. So he sees another guy come in from Ohio State, which is a big deal. And I think in his mind, in his young mind, maybe he saw the writing on the wall. Maybe he was like, I've seen other guys get treated, how other guys get treated. I don't want to be treated like that. I don't trust the situation. I think I may need to get up out of here. And on top of that, they're bringing in a guy from Ohio State that they think highly of, and I'm sure they're not bringing him in to sit the bench. Um, so in my eyes, maybe he saw the treatment from the other players from the year before, um, and then he's seeing the writing on the wall with this Ohio State coming in. They have a very good freshman that's there right now. A walk on, I think, just became this. Coach Prime just made him the second back as far as the rotation is concerned. So obviously he wasn't comfortable with that for whatever reason. I would never say what Neely said in saying that he doesn't want to compete, which I'm gonna get into that in another segment. I would never say there's nothing you can say about the kid to say he doesn't want to compete. It was obviously something that was going on in his mind. This is the end of part one. I will create a part two for this. The video was getting a little long, so look out for part two.